Most people think their biggest health threat is what shows on the scale. They're wrong. Right now, whether you feel it or not, visceral fat is silently destroying your organs from the inside out. This is the metabolically active fat wrapped around your liver, pancreas, and heart, not the jiggly stuff you can pinch on your arms. Here's what makes it terrifying. You can be skinny and still have dangerous levels of visceral fat. But, and this is crucial, one simple daily habit, backed by multiple clinical studies, can measurably reduce this dangerous fat without restrictive dieting or gym punishments. 1 cup. That's it. Consumed daily for just 8 weeks, this beverage shrinks visceral fat, improves insulin sensitivity, lowers inflammation, and quite literally extends your health span. The research is remarkable. Let me show you why. Section 1. The visceral fat problem. Before revealing what this beverage is, you need to understand precisely why visceral fat matters so much. The mechanism explains everything. Visceral fat is metabolically active tissue. Unlike the fat under your skin, it's constantly secreting inflammatory molecules called cytokines directly into your bloodstream. Think of it as a chronic poison pump. 24/7. These molecules travel to your liver, your pancreas, your cardiovascular system, your brain. They trigger systemic inflammation, the kind you can't feel but can absolutely measure. Here's the research that shocked me. Mayo Clinic tracked over 3,000 people for 15 years. Their finding: people with high visceral fat, even those with a normal BMI, had a 400% increased mortality risk compared to those with low visceral fat. Not 10% higher risk, not even 50% higher, 400%. This risk jumps because visceral fat creates what researchers call a pro-inflammatory state. Essentially, your body is burning on low-level fire 24/7. That inflammation accelerates aging, damages your blood vessel lining, disrupts your metabolism, and makes your cells resistant to insulin. It's the biological foundation for virtually every chronic disease. How do you know if you have it? DEXA scans are the gold standard. But here's the simple truth. Expanding waist circumference signals accumulating visceral fat. Men over 40 inches and women over 35 inches typically carry excessive amounts. Your belt doesn't lie. So what shrinks it? Section 2. The beverage revelation. Most people assume losing visceral fat requires intense exercise or restrictive eating. It doesn't. The research reveals something simpler. One beverage category has demonstrated remarkable, specific targeting of visceral fat in rigorous clinical trials. Hibiscus tea. I see that reaction, hibiscus. That sounds exotic, expensive, impossible to maintain as a daily habit. Reality check. It's not. You'll find quality hibiscus at standard grocery stores now. It's affordable. Most importantly, the science backing it is extraordinary. What follows are 3 separate, high-quality studies from prestigious institutions, each independently confirmed that hibiscus tea measurably reduces visceral fat. Each showed a dose-response relationship. More consistent consumption meant better results. Let me walk you through the evidence. Section 3. The research evidence. Study 1. Tufts University, 2016. On-screen text. Tufts study. 60 adults, 6 weeks. Hibiscus versus placebo. Tufts researchers recruited 60 adults diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, the precursor to type 2 diabetes. These people displayed the exact constellation of problems you're likely trying to prevent: elevated blood pressure, high cholesterol, elevated blood sugar, and abdominal fat accumulation. Perfect test population. Study design was straightforward. Half the group received 1 cup of hibiscus tea daily for 6 weeks. The other half received a placebo-flavored water, essentially. Everyone else continued their normal routines. No special dieting, no exercise protocols, just daily tea versus control. On-screen text, results after 6 weeks. Remarkable outcomes emerged. Hibiscus group showed systolic blood pressure reduction of approximately 13 millimeters of mercury, a clinically significant drop that moves people from borderline high to normal range. But here's what matters for today's discussion. CT imaging showed measurable visceral fat reduction compared to baseline. Placebo group, unchanged. Their visceral fat remains stable. 6 weeks isn't a long time in research, When biological markers shift measurably in 6 weeks, that indicates powerful metabolic processes are underway. Study 2. Tehran University of Medical Sciences, 2019, on-screen text. Tehran study, 60 women, 12 weeks, hibiscus versus placebo. Iranian researchers who've built a reputation for rigorous FoodAsMedicine research recruited 60 women with metabolic syndrome. This time they extended the study duration to 12 weeks and increased the dosage. One group consumed 2 cups of hibiscus tea daily. The other received hot water placebo. Same setup, same duration, same everyday life outside the intervention. On-screen text, weight loss results. Hibiscus versus placebo. After 12 weeks, hibiscus tea drinkers shed 4.8 pounds of body weight, lost for approximately 1.5 inches from waist circumference, nearly 2 belt notches, systolic blood pressure dropped 15 millimeters of mercury, LDL cholesterol decreased significantly, triglycerides fell nearly 20%. Placebo group gained 2.2 pounds. Consider this. Identical environment, identical food availability, identical everything, except one group drank hibiscus tea. The hibiscus group lost weight while controls gained it. Most striking, metabolic testing revealed the weight loss wasn't random. It was specifically visceral fat loss, the dangerous inflammatory fat we're discussing. Study 3, University of Arizona, 2021. The mechanism study on-screen text. Arizona study, understanding how it works. Researchers at University of Arizona wanted answers to a crucial question: why is hibiscus tea specifically reducing visceral fat? What's the mechanism? They recruited 40 overweight adults and measured insulin sensitivity, inflammatory markers, and fat distribution before and after 8 weeks of daily hibiscus consumption. Discovery was fascinating. Hibiscus tea drinkers demonstrated 22% improvement in insulin sensitivity, measurable reduction in TNF-alpha tumor necrosis factor, and IL-6, the primary inflammatory markers your body produces. 3.2-pound reduction specifically in visceral fat. Improved lipid profiles. The key finding? Insulin sensitivity improvements directly correlated with visceral fat reduction. Translation: hibiscus was restoring your body's ability to use insulin properly, which naturally reduces fat storage in the visceral depot. Section 4. How it works, the metabolic mechanism. As a scientist, I need to explain what's actually happening in your cells. Why hibiscus? What makes it different? The active compounds are polyphenols, specifically anthocyanins and hydroxycitric acid. They operate through multiple simultaneous metabolic pathways. Pathway 1, fat absorption blocking hibiscus polyphenols inhibit the enzyme lipase, which your digestive system uses to break down dietary fats for absorption. Less fat absorbed equals less fat available for storage in your fat cells. Pathway 2, the AMPK switch. Here's where it gets interesting. These polyphenols activate AMPK. Imagine it as your body's metabolic master switch. When AMPK activates, your cells shift from fat storing mode to fat burning mode. Visceral fat cells are particularly sensitive to AMPK activation, which explains the specific visceral fat reduction. Pathway 3. Inflammation reduction. Visceral fat constantly secretes inflammatory molecules. Hibiscus polyphenols directly suppress inflammatory gene expression. Your body literally stops producing as much inflammatory signaling. Pathway 4. Microbiome modulation. Your gut bacteria influence metabolism tremendously. Hibiscus functions as a prebiotic food for beneficial bacteria species. These good bacteria enhance fat burning and reduce inflammation. Long this matters, unlike single mechanism supplements, hibiscus creates coordinated metabolic change. Multiple pathways activate simultaneously, producing consistent, reproducible results across different populations. Section 5. How to actually use this. Alright, let's translate research into your daily reality. How do you actually implement this? The dose: 8 to 10 grams of dried hibiscus flower per cup. That's roughly 1 standard tea infuser or 1 commercial tea bag. Steep for 5 to 10 minutes in hot water. Simple. Timing matters. Research didn't specify optimal timing, but I recommend consuming it with lunch or dinner. Here's why. The lipase inhibition works when you're absorbing food. That's when you want these polyphenols active in your digestive system. Temperature, drink it hot or cold. Bioavailability of the compounds doesn't significantly change with temperature. Summer, make iced hibiscus tea. Winter, enjoy it warm. Consistency matters more than temperature. Quality standards. This is non-negotiable. Read the label carefully. You want 100% hibiscus flower. Many commercial products add refined sugar, which completely undermines metabolic benefits. Bulk dried hibiscus flowers work beautifully and cost less. Taste profile. Pure hibiscus has a tart, slightly astringent flavor. Not unpleasant, just distinctive. A squeeze of lemon or small amount of honey? Fine. Refined sugar? No. This isn't a beverage you're trying to mask. It's a therapeutic dose. Safety considerations. Hibiscus is generally very safe. However, critical caveat. If you take blood pressure medication, understand that hibiscus lowers blood pressure. You might need medication adjustment. Discuss this with your doctor. Pregnant women should avoid it due to limited research. Same for nursing mothers. Section 6. Accelerating this adults. Here's what's fascinating. The research shows hibiscus alone reduces visceral fat, but you can amplify the effect by adding complementary strategies. Amplifier 1. Combine with fasting windows. Your metabolism switches to fat-burning mode when you're fasting and insulin drops. Hibiscus enhances this metabolic adaptation. Combine 1 cup of hibiscus tea with a 14 to 16-hour fasting window, and the visceral fat reduction accelerates. The science is clear on this synergy. Amplifier 2. Add light resistance training. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. Even 2 to 3 resistance sessions weekly increases insulin sensitivity, making hibiscus even more effective. The combination is powerful. Improved insulin sensitivity plus polyphenol activity equals faster visceral fat loss. Amplifier 3. Reduce ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods actively promote visceral fat storage and inflammation. They work against hibiscus's benefits. Even modest reduction, replacing processed snacks with whole foods, dramatically amplifies results. Amplifier 4. Prioritize dietary fiber. Fiber feeds your beneficial gut bacteria. When you combine hibiscus with adequate fiber, 2535G daily, from whole foods, your microbiome composition shifts faster, accelerating metabolic benefits. Critical point. You don't need all 4 amplifiers. Hibiscus alone works. These are force multipliers for people wanting maximum acceleration. Section 7. Managing expectations. Let me be unambiguous about what hibiscus tea is and isn't. It's not a miracle. It won't transform you overnight. The research showed approximately 4 to 5 pounds of weight loss over 8 to 12 weeks, with significant visceral fat reduction specifically. That might not sound dramatic, but understand this. Visceral fat is metabolically active. Losing 5 pounds of visceral fat creates cascading metabolic improvements. Inflammation drops. Insulin sensitivity improves. Cardiovascular risk decreases. Alzheimer's risk decreases. The number on the scale isn't the point. The quality of the weight you're losing matters tremendously. Most people are surprised by the sustainability. Drinking 1 cup of tea daily is something you can maintain indefinitely. It's not a restrictive diet. It's not a punishing exercise routine. It's a simple daily habit that, compounded over months and years, creates significant metabolic change. Right now, visceral fat is damaging your organs. You don't feel it. That's precisely why it's dangerous. Most people wait until they receive a diabetes diagnosis or a cardiac event before taking action. You don't have to wait. The research is definitive. 1 cup of hibiscus tea daily, sustained for 8 weeks minimum, measurably reduces visceral fat, improves insulin sensitivity, lowers inflammation, and literally extends your lifespan. Multiple studies from prestigious institutions confirm this. The mechanism is understood. The benefits are real. But here's the truth. Knowing and doing are completely different. So here's my challenge to you. Pick up hibiscus tea this week. Start tomorrow. Commit for 8 weeks. Measure your waist circumference today. In 8 weeks, measure again. I predict you'll be shocked. Comment below right now. Not later. Now. Why? Because research proves that public commitment dramatically increases follow-through. When you write, "I'm starting the hibiscus challenge," You're not just telling me you're committing to yourself. That commitment carries real power. Hit like. YouTube's algorithm shows science-backed health content to more people when engagement signals it matters. Your like literally helps others discover this research. Subscribe. I'm releasing a deep dive next week on the most overlooked nutrient that's destroying your metabolism. Most doctors don't even test for it. You'll want to see that. Hit the notification bell. This content doesn't automatically show up in your feed otherwise. The bell ensures you see it. Visceral fat took time to accumulate. It won't disappear overnight. But with one simple daily habit, 1 cup of tea, you can reverse the damage. That's food as medicine in action. See you in the next video.